Individual differences in the form of aggression as a trait affect the odds that a person will engage in aggressive behavior in a particular situation, as shown in the bottom part of the model, including the likelihood of entering situations in which aggressive behavior may be precipitated. The GIM assumes that the starting point of an aggressive interaction lies in individual dispositions, such as trait anger, and external stimuli, such as aggressive cues, that meet in a particular situation and evoke an interrelated set of internal processes in the actor. They elicit an internal state that is characterized by specific cognitions, feelings, and arousal symptoms. For example, someone who is easy to anger may only need a small provocation from a stranger to enter into a state of fury, characterized by aggressive thoughts, "This person is an idiot," negative feelings, "This person makes me mad," and bodily symptoms, "I can feel my blood pressure rising." This internal state in turn gives rise to a fast, automatic appraisal of the situation, e.g., "This person's behavior is outrageous." In the subsequent reappraisal stage, the initial evaluation of the situation is considered in a more controlled and elaborate way, leading to the selection and enactment of a behavioral response. Depending on the reappraisal, this response will either be aggressive, "This person annoyed me on purpose and therefore I will retaliate in kind," or non-aggressive, "Let's try to calm down." The behavioral decision may trigger a response from the target that marks the beginning of a new episode and may further escalate or de-escalate the conflict. The GAM incorporates ideas and findings from several of the theoretical approaches discussed in the course of this chapter, such as the neo-associationalist model of anger in response to aversive stimuli, or the role of aggressive scripts. It provides a structure that helps us to understand the complex processes through which particular input variables, such as violent media stimuli or biographical experiences of abuse, can lead to aggressive behavior as the critical outcome variable. The GAM has also been found useful as a theoretical framework for conceptualizing different forms of violent behavior and for designing violence prevention programs. Figure 2.5, the General Aggression Model, GAM. Okay, so it begins with personality development, distal factors and processes, which are biological modifiers and environmental modifiers, which both lead to personality. Personality has an impact on the person and the situation, and the person and the situation leads to a present internal state, which leads to cognition, affect, and arousal interacting with each other, which leads to appraisal decision processes, which leads to behavior, and then behavior leads back to the person and situation, personality stuff, and then that's a loop. And this loop is social encounters, proximal factors, and processes. Also, the whole loop of social encounters can lead back to personality development through the response by the social environment, which will impact biological modifiers and emotional modifiers, which lead to personality, which again lead to the person and the situation. And so that is also the larger loop within it. To conclude this review of theoretical approaches to understanding aggression, one important point of comparison relates to their implications for the controllability and prevention of aggressive behavior. The early instinct-related views entail a pessimistic view because they conceptualize aggression as an inevitable part of human nature. However, there is now a consensus that a deterministic view of aggression is not appropriate, even though evolutionary principles may be applied to understanding aggressive behavior, and genetic makeup as well as physiological processes can explain variability in aggressive behavior. It is clear that individual learning, thinking, and feeling play a major role in shaping social behavior, including aggression. As Berkowitz, 1993, pointed out, people have a capacity for aggression and violence, but not a biological urge to attack and destroy others that is continually building up inside them. This view is supported by theories that emphasize the mediating role of cognitions and learning, as well as decision-making processes. By highlighting how aggressive behavior is acquired, these approaches also generate knowledge about strengthening the inhibitory forces against aggression, and they acknowledge the individual's freedom to decide against acting aggressively in favor of alternative courses of action. Summary: theoretical explanations of aggressive behavior include both biological and psychological lines of thinking and research. Biological models refer to evolutionary and genetic principles and the role of hormones in explaining aggression. The ethological perspective regards the manifestation of overt aggression as a function of an internal aggressive energy that is released by aggression-related external cues, but it cannot conclusively explain aggressive behavior in humans. The sociobiological approach postulates that aggression has developed as an adaptive form of social behavior in the process of evolution. Evidence from the field of behavior genetics suggests that the propensity to act aggressively is at least partly influenced by genetic dispositions. Finally, there is some evidence that hormones, such as testosterone and cortisol, are involved in regulating aggressive behavior and explaining individual differences in the propensity to engage in aggression. Early psychological models also assumed aggression to be an innate response tendency. Freud's view of aggression as an expression of the antagonism of eros and thanatos inspired the frustration-aggression hypothesis, which sees aggression as driven by the desire to overcome frustration. Subsequent psychological approaches widened the frustration-aggression hypothesis into a more general model of negative affect, and highlighted the role of cognitive factors, learning experiences, and decision-making processes in eliciting aggressive responses. According to cognitive neo-associationism and excitation transfer theory, negative affect, caused by a range of aversive stimuli such as frustration, pain, or noise, is a powerful trigger for selective information processing that enhances the probability of aggressive behavior. Social cognitive approaches refer to the role of aggressive scripts, i.e., generalized knowledge structures of how and when aggressive behavior may be enacted, and sequential appraisal processes that lead to the choice of an aggressive response. From the perspective of learning theory, aggression becomes part of an individual's repertoire through direct reinforcement, as well as observational learning and imitation of aggressive models. The I-cubed model conceptualizes aggressive behavior in specific situations as an interaction between the promoting factors of instigation and impellence and the weakening factor of inhibition. The general aggression model, GAM, integrates assumptions about the affective, cognitive, and arousal-based antecedents of aggressive behavior from different models into a comprehensive meta-theory. The psychological explanations of aggression share the assumption that aggressive behavior is not inevitable, but depends on the operation of a variety of promoting and inhibiting factors located both within the person and in the environment.